Over a month's worth of preparation has come to this moment. The Charles Johnson Summer League Finals, presented by Spanx the Hog and Champions Charity Incorporated, here in the Lauderdale Sports Complex. As the first offering is thrown from the Beach Bums by Kelvin Feliciano, and we're underway here at the top of the first, and it's a rematch of last year's championship between the Fort Lauderdale Cobras and the defending Beach Bums. That offering is fouled. That'll make it a 1-1 count. Rivera is at bat for the Cobras. He has a 1-1 on his count. Now Kelvin deals. Ball is in play. And they get the easy out at first. One out on the board for the Cobras. Next up, Luis Magnan, the right fielder for the Cobras. Take a look at the records for each team and how they got here. The Beach Bums with a 15-7 record in the Charles Johnson Summer League. Place them at the number 1 seed. And that ball is in play. It's going to be flown out towards center field. And the easy catch puts 2 outs on the board for the Cobras. The Beach Bums are not an easy team at all. A lot of them, like I mentioned before, multiple times, a lot of collegiate players on the Beach Bum squad. Obviously, Coach Ray Garcia is a collegiate coach for Florida Memorial University. The 14-7 record, they managed to get the number 1 seed in a tie with the Panthers, who just got eliminated in yesterday's matchup with the Cobras. The Cobras come in as the number 3 seed with a 13-8-1 record, so both teams pretty evenly matched going into this final game of the season, the championship game, and a lot at stake for both teams. The Cobras looking for their first championship and looking to become only the second championship team in Charles Johnson Summer League history, as the South Florida Beach Bums have won the opening 2 championships in this league's history. Looking to make it 3 in a row. The Cobras looking for, could you say, the upset, as the Beach Bums have really been building a dynasty in this league's young history. And here's the pitch. Ball's in play, heads towards right field. And that's an easy base hit, and the Cobras get 1 on base. Next up is the shortstop, Cummings. Now at bat. And here's the pitch. Wild pitch. Can they cut him off at second? No, they can't. Mathis takes advantage of the wild pitch, advances himself to second. And here's the pitch. Pop out towards right field. That one is fouled off. Kelvin looks to second. Now he deals downstairs for a ball. It's a 2-1 count with 2 outs on the board and a runner on second. This one is fouled off towards left field. It's an even 2-2 count here, and you got the runner on second, but the Bums have 2 outs on the board, and besides the hit by Mattis, they've been pretty good so far in the early portions of containing these at-bats. And that one goes outside also. In the midst of that, Mattis was able to advance himself to third with another stolen base. So the Cobras look to take an early lead here against the Beach Bums. The last time these two teams met, the Cobras actually came away with the win. But the last time these two faced each other with championship implications on the line, it was the Beach Bums who came out on top. So in terms of most recently, you got to give it to the Cobras as you hear the celebration as Cummings goes for the walk. But this is a really interesting scenario for both teams. As can they tag him out? No, he's safe. And the Cobras put the first run on the board and take an early lead. And Cummings, off the live ball, advanced himself to third. So what would have been a simple walk, getting himself to first, the Cobras take full advantage of the Beach Bums' errors and put the first run on the board. There you see Coach Ray Garcia having a conversation with one of the umpires. So the Beach Bums allow a run early on in the championship game. That allows the Cobras to take a 1-0 lead. And they still got a runner on third to make it a 2-0 lead in the early portions. But with 2 outs on the board, let's see if the let's see if the Beach Bums can get out of this inning that's started to get out of hand for them as the first offering goes for a strike. Now Jaden Smith now at bat. Smith fouls that one off towards right field. That gives him an 0-2 count. $18 pitches already for Kelvin. And here's the pitch. Outside for a ball. Makes it a 1-2 count. And here's the pitch. Ball in play. From second, they toss it over to first. And that puts the top of the first to a close. Still 1-0 is their score. So the Cobras take an early lead against the Bums. We'll take a quick break, and let's see if the Beach Bums can respond in the bottom of the first. And welcome back, folks. Here in the bottom of the first, where the Cobras have a 1-0 lead over the Beach Bums. First offer in the bottom of the first, we see a big strike here by number 11. He's going to get the single off his first offering. Daniels with the hit that goes over the head of the pitcher and gets himself on the first early. And that's the biggest strength, in my opinion, of the Beach Bums is their at-bat ability. Every game they've played, they've scored, I believe, at least 3 runs as we see a fly out that heads towards right field. And that's an out on the board. And we're seeing the Beach Bums getting aggressive early on here. I mean, the first 2 at-bats, they took the swings and made the connection in their first try. So far, no one on the Beach Bums has been staying patient. And now we see Jackson. Now at-bat. The extra hitter for the Beach Bums. The Beach Bums already have an out on the board, but they do have a runner on first. Got him up there early. And this one is in play. Caught by the pitcher. Tossed over to first. 2 outs on the board. And it's a double play also. That puts the first inning in its entirety to a close. Great job there by the Cobras defense in order to contain the Beach Bums. And that's going to put the bottom of the first to a close. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back for the top of the second. And welcome back, folks. Here in the top of the second, the Charles Johnson Summer League Championship game brought to you by Champions Charity Incorporated and Spanks a Hog Smoke and Barbecue. Cobras have a 1-0 lead over the Beach Bums. No changes on the mound. So Kelvin Feliciano, there's 1 out already on the board. That offering goes for a ball. He's facing off against Moss. And here's the pitch. That one goes for a strike, and it's a 1-1 count. Excuse me, he's going up against Rivera. 23 pitches already for Kelvin Feliciano. Here's number 24. And that hits Rivera. First hit by pitch for Kelvin in this game. And Rivera goes for the walk. Next up, Lucas McCormick, the catcher. That one goes outside. One out on the board, a runner on first. And here's the pitch. Ball. It's a 1-1 count for Lucas McCormick. The Cobras have been doing a good job so far in the early portion of this game on both sides, able to contain the beach bums in the bottom of the first, get the double play to end the inning pretty quickly. And this swing is fouled towards right field. That makes it a 1-2 count. Beach Bums just can't afford any mistakes. Had a sloppy top of the first. Just clean those up. And that ball goes downstairs. And it's now a 2-2 count. And what Kelvin needs to do is he needs to put this in the hands of the defense as well. We've already seen that the Cobras are willing to swing at it, willing to take their chances. So if that's the case, Kelvin just needs to respond and say, all right, you're going to take the swing? Well, let's see you can take a swing. And his defense has already shown that they're able to make the catches, put that in the hands of them as we see that ball in play, caught by third, and a great piece of hitting there by Lucas McCormick. Gets himself the base hit and puts runners on first and second. And I talked with Coach Roy Nino of the Cobras yesterday, and I mentioned how we talked about how the Cobras, they had a little bit more rest. They had about a day's worth of rest. Compare that to the Beach Bums, where the Beach Bums, they just played about a couple minutes ago. Now, a lot of these Beach Bums players, they're used to playing doubleheader style games, if you will, but you got to imagine when you got one team that had a day's worth of rest and you got another team which just got finished playing a game, you got to imagine the fatigue is going to start setting in with this team soon. The question is, are they going to be able to overcome that? That ball is a bunt. Kelvin tossed over to first. Now it's loaded bases now for the Cobras. That was Ethan Camilo who got the bunt. You see Coach Ray Garcia is going to have a conversation with his pitcher and his players. Beach Bums have been pretty sloppy so far in the early portions of this game. They've been a little bit cleaner so far in the second compared to the first, but I mean, the Cobras have just come out to play, and they're throwing everything at the Beach Bums right now. You got to imagine with the fact that the Beach Bums, they just played a game against the Superstars to get themselves to the championship. Is that fatigue starting to set in? Or the fact that, I mean, think about this also. I mean, Roy Nino, he was here watching this game, so he just saw what this team was playing. So he's got a little bit of insight in the playbook as he was able to watch what they were doing earlier. Could that come back to bite them? As the Cobras now have loaded bases with only one out on the board. You got to imagine the Beach Bums are going to try to get a double play to try to end this inning, where the Cobras are going to continue to extend their lead. Two outs on the board now for the Cobras, so it's one out that they need to end the inning. So runners in scoring position, two outs on the board. Here's the pitch. downstairs for a ball. And here's the pitch. Downstairs for another ball. Make it a 2-1 count. And here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, and that's strike 2. Even count now. And that was a good job by Kelvin to attack the strike box. You know, a lot of pitches thrown that were downstairs, not really in the zone. Kelvin just needs to attack that strike box. See if he does it this time. That's a ball, and it's now a full count. And here's the pitch. And it's another ball. And they get him at third. Rivera tried to make the run to home, couldn't make it. Then he had to make the run back to third. And good job there by the Beach Bums to notice that, get the cutoff at third, and just like that, what would have been loaded bases is going to put the top of the second to a close. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back for the bottom of the second. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here in the bottom of the second with 1 out early on the board. And it continues to be a defensive showing here for the Cobras against the Beach Bums. The strength for the Beach Bums has been their at-bat, able to get themselves on the base and on the base quick. But the Cobras have responded at every opportunity. And here's the pitch. Fouled off towards left field. Charles Johnson Summer League Finals is brought to you by Spanx the Hog Smokin' Barbecue. Barbecue ribs, wings, sandwiches, platters, draft beer, full liquor, bar sports on all the time friendly atmosphere. Spanx the Hog, a family-owned and operated eatery with fun and exciting things for you and your friends to enjoy. As we see the ball in play, and that's some good base hitting there by the Beach Bums. That's going to get themselves the single. And by Champions Charity Incorporated, offering sponsorships and opportunities for students to attend South Florida's only HBCU, Florida Memorial University. So the Beach Bums have a runner on first as we see the pickoff attempt unsuccessful. Now they got a runner on first with an out on the board, looking very similar to how it was in the first. We see another pickoff attempt in there. We see the wild pitch. Number 12 is going to get himself to second, and he's going to get himself even more and get himself in scoring position. I mean, you can't allow those mistakes, especially in the championship game early on. It's only the bottom of the second. There's still plenty of time. You have the early 1-0 lead. You've been containing the runners and the batters for the Beach Bums so far if you're the Cobras. You already tried the pickoff attempt the first time. It was unsuccessful. Why try to go for it the second time? I'm not sure. And there we see the strike there on number 24. There we see another swing and a miss. 0-2 count. You got to think, with one out on the board, do you get the sack? Do you go for the sacrifice fly? Nope, you don't need to. You don't need any sacrifice as the Beach Bums put a run on the board and tie the game up 1-1. Not a sacrifice RBI, but an RBI regardless for number 24 as he gets himself the RBI single. That'll tie it up for the Beach Bums and the Cobras 1-1 here in the bottom of the second. Tajah Jackson with the run scored, the speedster for the Beach Bums. The opening pitch for number 7 Parker is a strike. 0-1 count to start things off. Waste no time with that one. And here we see another good piece of hitting there by the Beach Bums. Puts another single on the board and runners on first and second. Beach Bums starting to find their groove here in the bottom of the second. Cobras were able to contain them early, but I was talking about it off the air where that big play by the Beach Bums at the top of the second, that will get a team to wake up, basically get their confidence back, show that they can make the plays, and that could go for both sides of the ball as well. And we're seeing that right now with the Beach Bums, which they feel rejuvenated. And here's the pitch, outside for a ball. And sometimes all you need in a team is a confidence booster, and that's the confidence booster. Well, they got that in the top of the second to end the inning. And now, instead of facing what could have been a 2-0 deficit, they're now tied the game with 1-1. And with only an out on the board and runners on first and second, the Beach Bums look to take the lead here. And here's the pitch. Fouled off. It's going to bring the count to 2-2. The Beach Bums are continuing this aggressive strategy. Taking these big swings. Beach Bums have yet to get a walk so far. That one's strike 3, and that's the second out on the board for the Beach Bums. Now we have T. Fox now at bat. That one goes for strike one. And here's the pitch. That one goes for a ball. And here's the pitch. Foul. Two outs on the board. A 1-2 count. Runners on first and second. Three umpires for this game as that offering goes for a ball. It's going to bring the count at 2-2. Well, when you have the championship game on the line, final game of the season, you want to make sure that all the calls are accurate and you get the best officiated game possible. Blue calls out a ball, speaking of which. Cobras do not sound happy with that one. And here's the pitch. That one's in play. And just like that, the Beach Bums have loaded bases. Now we have Z Bowers now at bat. And here's the pitch downstairs and a wild pitch. They're going to make the go for it, and the Beach Bums off the wild pitch take the early lead with Paletsis the second scoring the second run. And everyone advances one base. Well, that's interesting. In the first inning, it was the Cobras taking advantage of the Beach Bums' mistakes. And now, the tides have turned into where it's the Beach Bums now taking advantage of the Cobras' mistakes. And here's the pitch. Ball. You gotta wonder if that mistake from the runner at third back at the top of the second is going to come back to bite the Cobras. If they were able to stay put, they probably would at least be tied right now. You see that ball fouled off towards right field. But because they made that mistake on third, the Beach Bums have really taken full advantage of that. Now, and here's the pitch and another foul ball. And the batter is loving these foul balls. He's like, give me more of an opportunity. Give me more chances to make this right. This is putting more throws on the pitcher's arm. So the batter is loving this, but the pitcher not so much. And that's another foul ball. And you saw Nino on the mound. He looked like he was going to make the run for it. And here's the pitch. This one stays in bounds. They're going to make the toss over to first. And that'll put the second inning to a close. 2 innings down as we head to the third. The Bums take the 2-1 lead over the Cobras. We'll take a quick commercial break. You're watching the Charles Johnson Summer League Finals presented by Spanx the Hog and Champions Charity Incorporated. And welcome back, folks, here in the top of the third. Beach Bums were able to take the 2-1 lead over the Cobras. And we now see Luis Muñoz now at bat once again. Luis Muñoz's 0 for 1 in his appearances. That one is going to be a pop out towards right field and fouled off. Bounced off the gate, or looked like it bounced off the tent. Bounced off the shade. Well, both teams have had their fair share of mistakes and highlights, if you will. Obviously, at the Beach Bums, they're able to come back from the 0-1 deficit, able to take the 2-1 lead over the Cobras. And then you had the Cobras, who had that monster bottom of the first on the defensive side in terms of the highlights. But of the mistakes, I mean, you got to look at the Beach Bums. A great piece of hitting there by Muñoz. He's going to get himself the single. He thinks about trying to get the double, but he stays put at first. And Muñoz gets his first hit of the day on his second attempt. Cobras trying to put that ugly top of the second behind them, where they were in prime position to build on their lead, but a mistake from the runner on third got the pick off that ended the inning early. Cobras trying to put that behind them. And Muñoz able to get himself the stolen base and on to second. Here's the pitch. That one stays in bounds to make the toss over to first. They get the double play. No, they don't. They're able to get one out on the board. But Munyan able to get himself to third. G. Mattis takes the walk back to the dugout. So now what we see, the return of Jay Cummings. And here's the pitch. Way upstairs for a ball. Cummings gets ahead on the count early, 1-0. One out on the board. It's a 1-2 count for Cummings so far. And here's the pitch. Another ball outside towards the right. "50 pitches already for Kelvin Feliciano. And here's the pitch. Way outside, but Blue calls it a strike. And that's another strikeout for Feliciano. That puts the second out on the board for the Cobras. Next up, Jaden Smith, making his second appearance, 0 for 1, still looking for his first hit of the day. If he's able to get this hit, this could be an RBI to bring in Luis Munyan. That would tie the game up at 2-2. This could be a pretty important at-bat here that could keep the inning alive, or at least tie the game up if best case scenario. And here's the pitch. This one heads towards right field. Foul. It's a 1-1 count. And here's the pitch. This one stays in bounds, but caught by first. And the Cobras are not going to be able to tie the game. Still going to face a 1-run deficit as we head to the bottom of the third. We'll have an interview momentarily. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here in the bottom of the third, where the Beach Bums still hold a 2-1 lead over the Cobras. He just missed it, but see another hit, toss it over to first, and that puts the first out on the board for the Beach Bums. And joining me here, father of the pitcher JoJo Mann, director of the DONGON Baseball Academy, Jim Mann. Jim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you. It's Dongwon Dragon, China.
So I guess we'll start off with just talking about what is the Dongwon Baseball Academy. How'd you get started?
After I finished playing, I had the opportunity to get into China, and we started an academy in South China, about an hour and a half away from Hong Kong. And in 2016, we had all-turf stadium built, and now we have 8U, 10U, 12U, 15U, and 18U players.
Ooh, well, how about that? Now, let's talk a little more about what got you started into baseball. How was, and not only that, but what was the experience like getting, your son JoJo Mann involved into baseball as well?
Well, my father played pro ball briefly, so we grew up around the field, and then I also played, and so JoJo also grew up around the field. And although he grew up in China, he was in the academy full time, obviously. He's our seventh player that we've sent to United States to play ball in college.
So we're seeing a conversation on the mound here between Coach Nino and his pitcher. But what got you started also with the Charles Johnson Summer League?
I was invited to the World Comes to Palm Beach tournament, and we brought a team here. Realized how fantastic that tournament was. Hit it off with Mario, who runs both of them. And then the opportunity came for JoJo to get to this level. And it was obvious for him to come to Charles Johnson.
Oh, we see the pitch here, and that one goes for a ball and a walk. So what have you been thinking of this game so far? Obviously, there's been a lot of action so far to start things off. You got a couple errors between both teams, but both teams have been making a lot of big plays.
They have been, and guys are hitting the ball. And this is rematch from last year. Cubs beat them. I know the Cobras won it bad. Mental errors have given them 2 runs. Let's hope that they can pick it off and keep it a close game.
Now, a lot of talk has been going into the fact that, the last time that these two teams played, just in general in this season, the Cobras actually came out on top. But the last time these two faced each other, obviously in the playoffs, was last year in the championship game where the Beach Bums came out on top. How do you balance that mindset of knowing that the last visit that these two had in general, one team came out on top, but the last visit that these two teams had under championship implications, another team came out on top?
Great question, and this is why we play the game. Because at any time, anybody can beat anybody. Whoever has less mistakes, whoever digs deeper and wants it more.
And finally, let's build on that question, talking about the championship mentality. When you play in the regular season, a lot of it is just to get to the championship. But now you're here in the championship. How does that mindset change for all the players?
In the car ride over here, we were talking to the players, and you got to stop here. You might have a pickoff. Nope, and it hits the runner. Guys move up second and third.
And just like that, the Beach Bums are looking to extend their lead even further over the Cobras. We talked about that earlier where, I mentioned it obviously with the big plays, but also the errors. I mean, obviously you had the Beach Bums, they had a sloppy top of the first on the defensive side. Then you had the Cobras, who on the top of the second, it looked like they were going to have loaded bases, potentially build on their lead, but an error from the runner on third, a misjudgment, if you will, got him picked off. Do you think a mistake like that could come back to bite this team later on in the game?
Without a doubt. It's a mental error. You had your best hitter up with the bases loaded. Big time error. It's going to come back to bite us.
We see the ball looks to be in play, and a good piece of base hitting there. And the Beach Bums, they're going to look to add 3 on the board. They do so, and they're going to add 4 as well. And the Beach Bums extend their lead even further, and they get the runner on third as well. to potentially increase their lead even further. But they have 4 runs on the board, and you can hear the celebration from the Beach Bums dugout as they look to make it the three-peat. What a play there. What a piece of hitting there from the Beach Bums. The 2 RBIs, we see that pitch go outside for a ball, and the Beach Bums now have a 3-run gap to the Cobras. How about that one?
They need to get out of this inning and hit the baseball. You only got 1 out. You got infield in. Even a duck snort's going to score another run. They need to get out of this inning.
That one's foul.
These bums are hitting the baseball. That's what counts. That's a broken bat triple.
So, what would you do in this situation if you're the Cobras? Obviously, you need to get out of the inning, but, mentally to try to clean up the mistakes. And also on the defensive side, what do you need to do? Especially because there's only 1 out on the board.
Defensive side, they got to stay where they are. They have their best team out there. You can't go do another mound visit because you did one already. You have to take them out. I will presume that someone's warming up in the bullpen because it looks like Isaiah's starting to get a little tired.
And do you think, I alluded to it earlier, that one thing that the Cobras do have an advantage on is the fact that, you saw Coach Roy Nino, he was watching the Beach Bums play against the Superstars just, about an hour ago. So do you think that the fact that the team has seen how the Beach Bums has been playing earlier in the day, so they got a little bit of an idea on how, their strategy is going to work, do you think that's a big advantage, or have the Beach Bums basically opened a whole new playbook, if you will, as we see the attempt to pick off? They're going to get them and get some out.
Ground ball back to the pitcher, and you end up getting a runner who was breaking toward home. Going to run down, he's out. Cobras made a nice play, except nobody covered second when the guy goes and takes second base on the rundown. I think Coach Nino and the players all watched the game beforehand. They saw the mercy rule, but they also mercy ruled the Panthers yesterday. So both teams are ready. It's less mental errors and hit the baseball today. They need to get out of the sun right now.
You mentioned, obviously, that no one was covering the runner at second. At that point, should all eyes just be focused on the runner at third so they don't score? Or, do you try to find a way to balance it? As we see the hit by pitch, and 24 is going to take the walk over to first.
Run down between third and home, second baseman should be over at second base. He was caught flat.
And those are those mental errors that you said.
We were just talking about, exactly.
Well, Coach Mon, thank you so much for joining us here on this show, and thank you so much for giving us a little bit more insight as to how both of these teams should be playing, the strategies and everything. So thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And that's Jim Mon, director of the Dongan Baseball Academy and father of pitcher for the Cobras, Jojo Mon, joining us here in the bottom of the third as the Beach Bums continue to extend their lead. They now have the 4-1 lead over the Cobras. 2 outs on the board, but a runner on second. And here's the pitch. Ball. And here's the pitch. That'll put the third inning to a close as we head to the top of the fourth. We'll take a quick break. You're watching the Charles Johnson Summer League Finals presented by Champions Charity Incorporated and Spank the Dog Smoke and Barbecue. And welcome back, folks. Here in the top of the fourth, the Bombs were able to extend their lead over the Cobras 4-1, and the Cobras are going to look to put their own runs on the board to close the gap. No changes on the mound, so Kelvin Feliciano, as he deals his next offering to number 16, swing and a miss for strike 2. And here's the pitch. Ball. 54 pitches for Feliciano. As we see Jay Moss now at bat once again. He's 1-2 on the count, 0 for 1 in appearances. Looking for his first hit as Moss gets hit by that pitch and is going to take the walk over to first. Next up at bat, Jay Rivera. Back-to-back opening pitches for Feliciano, goes for a strike. So Kelvin's definitely cleaned it up compared to the beginning of the game. Wasn't able to get it in the strike box, now he's able to. And he tries to pick off Moss at first, but Moss is safe. It's now a 2-1 count. And here's the pitch. Downstairs for a ball. We still got more interviews coming up later on in the broadcast. First, we got CEO of Charles Johnson Summer League and Caribbean Baseball Organization, Mario Sigranello, as we see that one go for a strike. And then we got Chantel, who's the business partner of Charles Johnson. So we got 2 more interviews for later on. One coming in the bottom of the 4th and one coming in the top of the 5th. And here's the pitch. They try to cut Muss off again. It's time to no avail. Here's the pitch. Another ball. Now a full count. Here's the pitch. Way outside for a ball. And Moss gets himself to second, and Rivera gets himself to first. See Coach Roy Garcia go on top of the mound once again, bring his players up, talk to Kelvin. A little bit of a struggle so far in the opening portions of the 4th for Kelvin Feliciano. No outs. One was allowed a hit by pitch and a walk. I mean, he's had a couple strikes there, and especially that hit by pitch was coming off a 1-2 pitch. Kelvin just got to get it cleaned up, start to attack the strike zone. And if you feel like you can't do it as a pitcher, because Kelvin's already thrown 64 pitches, put it in the hands of the defense. Tempt the at-bats. And we see Lucas McCormick now at-bat. Tempt him. Say, all right, you're going to take the swing. Well, I'm going to throw right down the middle, and then I'm going to put it in your hands and let my defense do the rest of the work. Don't try to play hero if you're on the mound, especially if you're starting to get a little bit tired up there. Again, 65 pitches now for Feliciano here in the top of the 4th. And here's the pitch. And that's a strike. You get the cutoff, and they do. Jay Moss gets picked off at third and puts the first out on the board for the Beach Bums. The Beach Bums have been doing a pretty good job so far on the defensive side to get the pickoffs. Obviously, you had the big pickoff in the top of the second. Now you got a pickoff here in the fourth. And that's what I'm talking about. If you can't do it on the mound, put it in the hands of the defense, and right there, that's exactly what happened. So Rivera was able to steal second in the midst of all that too. So the Beach Bums essentially traded an out for a stolen base. And we see a good piece of hitting there by the Cobra. That's an easy base hit. And Jay Rivera gets himself to third off the base hit as Lucas McCormick goes 2 for 2 at bat. A little bit surprised Rivera didn't try to go for home. Looked like he would have had some time there. Would have been close, but I mean, with some of the errors that Cobras have made on base, they already put one out on the board. You got to think that they just want to play it safe. Better to get a runner in scoring position guaranteed than to try to get a run on the board that can go 50-50 either way. Live to see another day. So runners on both corners. Here's the pitch. Foul. And here's the pitch. This one takes a big swing, stays in bounds, and the Cobras close the gap and put their second run on the board. And the Cobras are going to look to make it 3 out of 4, and they do. Good piece of hitting there by Ethan Camilio. Gets the 2 RBI and the double and makes it a 1-run game. Cobras finding life in the top of the fourth, and now it's a 1-run game here in the top of the fourth. Next up, Andres Rivera now at bat, searching for his first hit of the day. And speaking of the Cobras, happy birthday to assistant coach for the Cobras and general manager Antonio Aponte. I can see him and hear him screaming. At the Cobras. We see Coach Ray Garcia. Looks like he's going to pull Kelvin. So, Coach Garcia is indeed going to change pitchers, pull Kelvin Feliciano after 70 pitches by Kelvin Feliciano. He's going to be retired at the top of the fourth. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So the change on the mound is made, and it is Nolden who's now on the mound for the Beach Bums. And joining me here, his name is front and center in the league, Charles Johnson himself. Charles, thanks for coming back onto the broadcast.
Yes, definitely glad to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about the season so far. Obviously now we're in the championship game. So last time we spoke around the midway through the regular season. So how have you enjoyed the season so far as we're now into the final game of the season?
I've definitely enjoyed the season tremendously this year. It's
So I'm sorry
definitely
to say we got a big play here, shot towards center, left center field, and caught. Puts an out on the board for the Beach Bums.
yes, it's definitely been enjoyable season. It's definitely been challenging a little bit this year as far as this year I'm dealing with a lot of rain issues and the kids been really hanging in there strong as far as the adjustments that's been made as far as playing double hitters and things of that nature. So just very, very happy and thankful that we're here to this point right now.
Now, you mentioned obviously a lot of the rain issues that the Charles Johnson Summer League experienced this year. Obviously, just a couple games have been canceled as we see a shot here towards left field, but this one looks like it's going to be fouled off. So, how does the league how does the league deal with that in the sense of knowing that you're probably going to have to cancel the game, and especially with, potential seeding implications and playoff implications on the line because of it?
Well, I mean, it takes a lot. I mean, and that's why it's been very thankful to have Mario here, really shuffling these games around, and also too, whereas the coaching staff has been very flexible, is trying to get these kids together to play 2 games a day. In this hot weather, it's been a tough year this year dealing with the weather.
Good piece of base hitting there by the Cobras, and the Cobras are going to look to tie the game up, and they do. Safe at second, the RBI double ties the game. Cobras have come back from a 3-run deficit to tie it 4-4.
I tell you what, that was good relay there. Thought he had a shot at getting him there. Great relay.
So let's talk about the playoffs so far. I mean, really, it's been clinics throughout. Obviously, the 2 teams to make it here, the Beach Bums and the Cobras, they managed to get to the playoffs off of the mercy rule, if you will. Right. And you're seeing it right here with just great at bats, great hitting and really base running from both of these teams so far. How does it feel, and how do you think the mentality is for both of these teams, knowing that it's a rematch, if you will, of last year's finals? Obviously you got the Beach Bums trying to go for 3 in a row, trying to make it 0-2 in the championship, or 2-0 in the championship against the Cobras. Meanwhile, you got the Cobras still looking for their first championship in the Charles Johnson Summer League. So how do you think that mentality goes as a former player with both of these teams, with both completely different goals, albeit they both won the championship for albeit different reasons?
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, it's really exciting to see these two teams in the championship games. And the way I see it is that it says a lot about these young kids, the hard work they put into it, and sure, hopefully that they got a lot out of this league. And also, too, it says a lot about the coaches. I mean, when you look at this league here, I mean, you're talking about 4 out of the 7 coaches in the league coach college baseball. And so that means a lot. That means a lot to these players, whereas that they have great leadership. They have great coaches around them to try to guide them the best way they can to get to this point. And that's what we really play for. We play for trying to win championships. And to try to win a championship in CJ Summer League, it means a lot to these kids.
There's a swing and a miss. G. Mathis doesn't look happy about that. Now, let's talk a little more about that, because he did not look happy about that swing and a miss. But, as a player, obviously you're not happy about that as an individual, but you still got to think that the team just tied it, so you got to be a little bit happy about that. How do you balance that as a player to where you want to do good for yourself, but at the same time, your team is being successful, or you want to put yourself in the best situation for the team?
Well, you got to put yourself in the best situation for the team. I mean, when you play at this point of the season, you're in a championship game. I mean, right now, it's a 0-0 ball game at this point. And so right now with the Beach Bums, right, you're trying to mitigate any more runs scored here. You're trying to really bear down, go into the dugout. Even though it's a 4-4 game, it's really a 0-0 game. And so now this game is really a toss-up. And so that's really what's important right now with the guy on the mound.
See a big play here. Shortstop throws it over to first. And that'll put the top of the 4th to a close. We'll keep it here as we head to the bottom of the 4th. But, so Let's go back on what we were saying before. How these two teams have want to win the championship. Beach Bum still trying to basically have a clean sweep of the Charles Johnson Summer League. They've been the only champion so far of this league. How big is that to basically, in terms of the Beach Bums being the only champions in this league, and thinking that could there be a dynasty, if you will, in this this league, having one team win potentially all 3 seasons so far?
Yeah, I mean, the Beach Bums been playing great baseball. I mean, they've been putting some good teams together, for sure. I mean, the coaching staff's been doing a great job, but it always is helpful too when you got teams like the Cobra really putting a good stand and really trying to compete for a championship over there, because it does balance things out a little bit, but. At the same time, you got to give a lot of credit to the Beach Bums. I mean, they've been coming out every year playing and competing, and they've been winning championships.
And let's talk about the Cobras on the flip side of things. This is their second trip to the finals. They made it last year, and they've been the bridesmaid, but they haven't been the bride yet. So I talked about this earlier with Jim Mann about, the last time that these two teams faced off against each other, the Cobras actually won, but that was during regular season circumstances. Now with the finals, since the Beach Bums, the last time these two faced in the finals, the Beach Bums came up on top. As a team and as players, how do you balance that, knowing that, okay, the last time that these two faced off against each other in general, one team came out on top, whereas the last time these two teams faced off each other during these circumstances, the other team came out on top?
Well, when you look at it, the way I see it is that what you do in the regular season is totally different than you are in the playoffs here. I mean, you got to final game here, and now every pitch counts. I mean, every at-bat counts. And so it's a different type of energy that each player brings to a game like this, because everybody wants to win. And so everything is really heightened. Everything is a very focus related. And so a game like today can be a lot of pressure on some guys if they allow it to be, and whereas that they will play differently than they would during the regular season. So I truly hope a lot of these guys are coming out having fun today, competing, but at the same time, you want to do well on a personal level too.
We talked about before we went live about this clinic that you have with Mario. So talk a little more about that.
Well, I'm definitely very excited about it. I'm very thankful to have guys like Preston Wilson come out. You're talking about a guy that played well over 10 years in the big leagues, hit almost over 200 home runs, drove in well over 700 runs in the big leagues. One of the top outfielders to play the game, and for him to come out and really give a lot of guys instructions, it means a lot.
A good piece of hitting there by the Beach Bums. That was Andres gets himself the single.
Way to go, kiddo!
And yes, also too, it had guys like Alex Arias that came out. I mean, he was one of the biggest pinch hitters that ever played the game. I mean, pretty much had one of the highest batting average to play the game of baseball as far as pinch hitting. And so he was incredible with the guys. I mean, he played well over 10 years in the big leagues in the middle infielder. So it's a lot of knowledge and that's here that these guys are working with. And that's my goal, really. My goal is really to not only give these guys knowledge on the field, bring some major league guys on the field, but I also, too, had the opportunity to bring Oppenheimer financial group here and really talk to the kids about financial literacy. I think that means a lot. I mean, a lot of these kids are now getting ready to start moving on to their lives, whereas that you can play baseball. Some of them are going to probably move on and get regular jobs. Who knows? But we all going to have an idea about finances. And so I'm trying to have a whole roundabout way as far as these kids being here at the camp.
You see a play here. 21 is going to make the run over to first, but not in time.
Great heads up.
The Beach Bums sound happy about that one. They got a runner on third.
That was a really good heads-up play there.
And finally, this is really what I wanted to discuss is, with this game so far really being about offense, obviously 8 runs scored in total already here in the bottom of the fourth. What do you think is going to be the key for both of these teams to win the championship? Is it going to be more just keep going at the strength, which has been offense and scoring runs? And we see a big shot here towards left center field. And caught. Never see the runner on third. He's going to make the run over to home. Makes it in time, and the Beach Bums retake the lead with their 5th run of the game.
I truly believe what it's going to come down to is pitching. I mean, the only way to seal a deal is that you got to have pitching to close the door. And a lot of times these games here can go back and forth a little bit, but when it comes down to it, the last couple of innings, it's all about who's going to pitch the best. And baseball has always been about who plays the best defense. A lot of times, it's all about the offense. It's about the defense. And so that's how I see this game ending today.
So you would say that it's going to come down more to who can play the better defense rather than who can be the better at bat and base runner.
Yeah, because if I get a guy who is out there can shut somebody down, it's not only is going to allow the Beach Bombs to win a game, but if the Cobras can get a guy to shut the Beach Bombs down, now they get an opportunity to try to come back and win a ball game. And so it's all about now who's going to finish this game pitching the best is probably who's going to win this game today.
Well, Charles Johnson, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for that, that insight, as a former player, at how, these players are probably going to be attacking this game. As we see base hitting there, goes past the shortstop, and that's another single right there for the Beach Bums. They get another runner on base. Charles Johnson, thank you so much for coming on, giving us, of course, the insight, the update so far for the league as we face the final game of the season.
What you're doing here for the CJ Summer League.
I appreciate you guys for the opportunity as we see at first. And that'll put the bottom of the fourth to a close. And we got more interviews coming up. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back for the top of the fifth.
Why did he step in the first baseman kind of like stepped in his way.
The throw was out. He had to come over.
Yeah. I didn't think he had to go that far into the line. Like, he was weird. Like, I thought he could have caught it more out front. He caught it deep,
Could have been ugly.
Yes, it could have been real ugly.
They've been physical in that first base.
Yeah.
What? I football tape.
No, I'm trying to think because the laptop's starting to get a little hot. A little bit, not too much. But
So I feel like
Think about how much. But that's the fun one. That was kind of cute.
And welcome back, folks. Here's we see looks to be a fly out towards right field, caught here in the top of the fifth as the Beach Bums able to create a narrow one-run lead over the Cobras. And this has just been a back and forth all day long between the Beach Bums and the Cobras. Great at-batting from both. Charles Johnson mentioned in the bottom of the fourth is that it's probably going to come down to who can play the best defense out of both of the teams. And right now, I'd say both of them are pretty even. At the beginning innings of this game, I would say it's the Cobras. But then for the last three innings, I would say it was the Beach Bums that at this point I mean, I think both these teams are just dead even right now. I think it's going to come down to who can mitigate the errors, who can play just the slightest bit better defense, because this game, unlike last year, is definitely going to turn into a shootout. That offering is fouled. And here's the pitch. Way outside for a ball. Another pitch. Foul territory. And here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, and that's a strike. And that's strike 3, and that's another out on the board for the Cobras. Next up is here's the pitch. So D. Jackson's on the mound. His 19th pitch. And here's the pitch. Jay Moss gets the walk. Both times Moss has appeared, he hasn't been able to score a hit, but he's still been able to walk. 0 for 2, but still able to get himself on base. That's going to be really interesting on the stat line. Now we see Jay Rivera at bat once again. 2 outs on the board for the Beach Bums as the Beach Bums starting to take control on the defensive side. But like I mentioned earlier, it's been back and forth. Jackson tries to cut off Moss at first. Unsuccessful. And here's the pitch. This one is fouled off towards right field. So it's an 0-2 count now for Jay Rivera. Rivera is just hoping that he continues to get fouled if he's not able to get the hit. They have a lot of margin for error now. And here's the pitch. And here's the pitch. Way upstairs for a ball. And that's strike 3, and that's going to put the top of the 5th to a close. We'll be back for the bottom of the 5th, where we'll have an interview with CEO Mario Sigranello. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Charles Johnson Summer League Finals, presented by Spanks the Hog Smoke and Barbecue and by Champion Charity Incorporated. And joining me here in the bottom of the fifth is the CEO of CBO and the Charles Johnson Summer League, Mario Signorella. Mario, thank you for coming back on.
Oh, no, thank you guys for coming out. I'm excited. It's day 43 of 43, and the two teams that battled out last year are giving us a nice show today.
So you mentioned day 43, but this is also year 3 of the Charles Johnson Summer League. So talk about just, wrapping up the third year of the league.
Well, this is our third year. We've gone up. We've increased by one team every year, so we went from 5 teams to 6 to 7 teams this year. We brought a couple organizations in, like the Superstars organization with Simon Walters, who's a Frontier League manager in the Frontier League, and got a lot of connections. Has put 2 new quality teams in the league. The Vipers organization out of Miami, who with Andre Ruche, who I've seen grow up because I used to work with his dad when I was with the Marlins, and then the 4 holdover teams that we got from this year, and to see the Beach Drums back in the final is really a neat story because they're trying to three-peat, and a lot of faces have changed from year to year, but they've been able to create this winning culture that we've got, and that culture. And that culture has resonated with the players and what's anticipated of them when they go out on the field. So that's really good to be able to have a team like this to be able to establish this in year 3.
Now let's talk about something that's been plaguing, especially the playoffs so far, for the Charles Johnson Summer League, and that is rain. As the man who's really manages, handles all the operations of the Summer League, how have you been able to handle all the rain so far, all the rainouts, obviously scheduling doubleheaders, especially in a time like the playoffs? So how have you been able to handle that so far?
Well, I don't sleep. That's the first thing. Look, one thing, you can make all your plans, but you can't plan for the rain. But this year has been an absolute nightmare. We've had to reschedule 64% of our games. Have been from what we originally thought to when we actually played the games. And yesterday is a classic example. We wanted to play 5 games. We played 3 games at 3 different sites just to be able to get it in with the rain. But I really got to credit our administration, the players, and the coaches, because when you move a game, it's 150 players, 25 administration, umpires, site fields, and sometimes TV like yourselves, and our communication system of pay attention here, put it on Game Changer, go to the web, and it really worked because we had minimal.
See, good piece of base hitting there. He was able to get the single. The runner. Looks like Jackson's going to get tagged.
Hey, he was safe at first. So they got the one out at second, but he was safe at first. So coming up with the plan, but executing the plan, I credit everybody for being able to do that. And just let me add that having a team like the Cobras in the finals this year, and the Beach Drums beat them 3 out of 4, but this is a team that's really done a nice job of doing national recruiting. Their leadoff batters from the U.S., their second batter's Dominican, their third batter's Jamaican, fourth batter's Bahamian, and the fifth batter's from Puerto Rico. So they've lost 2 of their 3 top starting pitchers. Their other top starting pitchers from the Philippines. The coach is of Mexican descent, and the assistant coach is Jewish.
So we talked about a little bit earlier when Charles Johnson came on, and that is the clinic. So dive a little more into that in terms of your side on how you handle, obviously this clinic that you started with Charles Johnson.
Well, it was not only a clinic, we also had a financial literacy with Oppenheimer to balance out the day. But we had 3 Major League Baseball alumni in Charles, Preston Wilson, who he brought out, and Alex Arias, who was on the original Marlins team and also the '97 World Series. In the history of Major League Baseball, there's only been 2,000 players that have played 10 years or more. We had 3 of them there. So the clinic was as much physical skills as it was life skills. And the guys asked some great questions, and the feedback that we had from them was tremendous. And right after that clinic, we brought him inside, and Oppenheimer sat down with the kids because this is the time to do it, to do a financial literacy clinic.
And finally, let's talk about the game so far. We're in the back end of not just the game, but the season as a whole. Obviously, it's been basically just a shootout, if you will, between both of these teams. The Beach Bums have a narrow lead over the Cobras. So what do you think is going to be the key here? Not only, number one, the game so far, but what do you think is going to be the key for both of these teams in order for one to come out on top over the other?
Really, it's going to come down to clutch hitting, clutch pitching right now. You've got 6 outs to go before for the Beach Drums to be able to three-peat, but they're only up by 1 run. So this is the time to where people step up. This is the time where you got to make sure you don't make mistakes. This is the time where the ball gets a little bit bigger. If you're struggling, it gets a little bit fatter. If you're not, this is the time you got to throw strikes and make the plays that you need to make. So it's the little things in baseball that are going to carry you. With the 1-run lead, with 2 innings to go, I'm excited to have 2 great teams, great quality teams. You got 2 college coaches out there coaching against each other in the game, and all our teams from top to bottom were able to beat the other teams. The Cobras jumped out on top. They were 6-0. The Vipers were 0-6. They were the young kids from Miami. Then they beat them. Vipers then won 7 of their next 9 games. So momentum is a big play in baseball. You never know what's going to happen, but I'm excited to watch it.
Well, Martin, thank you so much for coming on. And as we head to the top of the 6th, I guarantee it's going to be a great battle between both of these teams coming down to the wire.
Thank you. Doing a great job. Thank you for coming out, Armani.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back for the top of the 6th.
How'd I do? Really good.
And welcome back, folks, here in the top of the 6th, where the Beach Bums hold a narrow 1-run lead over the Cobras. Some action has happened already here in the top of the 6th with 1 out on the board, but Ethan Camilio was able to get himself on the first off the base hit. Time is starting to run out for both of these teams. It's been a shootout so far. The question is, who's going to come out on top? No changes on the mound, so D. Jackson, as we see that ball be flown out towards right field and foul. We see a slew of Beach Bums go after that ball. Now we see A. Rivera at bat once again, 0-2 in appearances, still searching for his. And here's the pitch. Strike. Oh, 2 count, 1 out on the board, and a runner on first. And here's the pitch. Way outside for a ball. That brings the count to 1-2. Pickoff attempt. Jackson tries to cut off Camilo at first, but Camilo is safe. Now one is a pop out towards right field. Caught. Second out on the board for the Cobras. Beach Bum's only 4 outs away from winning their third championship in a row. That pitch is way outside for a ball as we see Luis Magnan at bat once again. Magnan is 2 for 3 in appearances. Has 2 hits. Scored one of the runs as we see that pitch go outside for a strike. And here's the pitch. This one is shot towards right field. Caught. Now to put the top of the 6 to a close. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back for the bottom of the 6. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to the bottom of the sixth. The Bums hold a narrow 1-run lead over the Cobras, 4-5. And now with the Bums at bat, time is running out for the Cobras as well. They need to get some runs going in the top of the seventh, or else it's going to be all over, and the Beach Bums are going to be 3-time Charles Johnson Summer League champions. So we see Polenitz the second now at bat. He's 1 for 1. Managed to score one of the 5 runs for the Beach Bums. New on the mound is D. Robinson. And here's the pitch. Foul ball towards the back end. Let's takes the walk. Next up, P. Shalate, who's 1 for 2 in appearances, looking for his second hit. And no outs on the board for Beach Bums. Runner on first. And here's the pitch. Tries to bunt the ball. It stays in play. No, Blue rules it as a foul. Ball just traveled towards the right side of the paint. We're going to have another go at it. Pitch goes way outside. Tries to cut him off, and he's safe. Lenny's able to advance himself to second on the stolen base. That pitch goes for a ball. And here's the pitch. Ball is bunted. This one stays in bound. They make the toss over to third. Is he safe or is he out? The Blue looks like he's going to rule him as out.
Video.
When Coach Ray Garcia does not look happy from that call.
Appeal, Coach, appeal!
No one seems happy about that one. And Polenitz, he's going to take the walk back to the dugout. Very controversial call. That's interesting too, because normally if it's a close call like that, they rule it as safe. That time they ruled it as out.
Let's go, 4. Have some fun up there, kid.
That's an out on the board for the Beach Bums now, but they managed to get a runner on first. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike one. And that could come back to bite the Beach Bums as well, that controversial call, because they're only up by 1 run. the Cobras, if the urgency needs to start picking up for the team as well, if they're able to score some runs to tie the game up or at least take the lead in the top of the seventh, it can all come back to that controversial call that we just saw happen. Try to cut off. Runner at first, but to no avail as we see Andres at bat once again. And here's the pitch. Way upstairs for a ball. And here's the pitch. Once again, way up. Well, not upstairs this time, but way to the right. Now it's a 2-1 count. And here's the pitch. Swing and a miss for a strike. Puts the count now at 2-2.
All right, kid, protect the plate. Let's go now. Have fun up there now.
And here's the pitch. Fouled off. And here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Second out on the board. Next up, Tyler Fox. 1 for 2 in appearances. Here's the pitch. Try to cut him off at second. Unable to. Here's the pitch. Outside, strike. And here's the pitch. Ball in play. Goes past the diamond. Shalate's going to bring it for the 6th run for the Beach Bums. He gets there in time. No! Doesn't get there in time. Doesn't get there in time. That's huge for the Cobras. And that's another call that goes against the Beach Bums as we head to the top of the 7th. We'll take a quick commercial break. It all comes down to the top of the 7th. Who's going to come out on top and be crowned Charles Johnson Summer League champions? We'll find out right after this. You're watching the Charles Johnson Summer League Finals presented by Champion Charity Incorporated and Spank the Hog Smoke and Barbecue. Top of the 7th. 1 inning to go. The Beach Bums are 3 outs away from hoisting their 3rd Charles Johnson Summer League championship. Here at Lauderdale Sports Complex, this is the Charles Johnson Summer League Finals presented by Spank the Hog Smoke and Barbecue and Champion Charity Incorporated. See a big shot here towards left field. And it's gone. No, it stays in bounds. That looked like it was going to go past the fence, but that one stays in bounds. Don't count the Cobras out just yet. It's only a 1-run game. G. Mattis able to get the double and keep his team alive. Here's the pitch. Back-to-back opening strikes for D. Jackson are a strike. Now it's Jay Cummings. Going to try to bring in G. Mattis for a run as he fouls that one off. Looked like he was a little late on that swing. And here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. He gets caught swinging. 2 outs to go for the Beach Bums, but keep an eye on Mattis at second. This is going to come down to the wire. And here's the pitch. You're going to try to cut him off at third. Is he safe? He's out! 1 out to go for the Beach Bums. Cuts off Mattis at second on his trip to third. And the Beach Bums are 1 out away from winning their 3rd championship. It's all on the shoulders of Jay Smith, who's 0 for 3 in appearances. He's going to need this. If he's going to get his first hit, now is the time. Stays patient on his first offering. 1-0 on his count. And here's the pitch. Takes a shot, but fouled off. And here's the pitch. Another ball. 1-2 count. Here's the pitch. Takes a big shot towards center field, and this could be it right here. And that does it. The Beach Bums are the 2023 Charles Johnson Summer League champions for the 3rd consecutive year. 3 years of the Summer League, 1 champion, the South Florida Beach Bums, as they take down the Fort Lauderdale Cobras in their rematch of last year's match. A tight game throughout. Last year, the Beach Bums dominated. This time, they had to close this one out in a tight 4-5 win over the Cobras. And you got to think, that pickoff at the top of the 2nd for the Cobras, I talked about it. It might come back to bite them. Had they not gotten that pickoff, that could have been another run or two, and that could have gone to extra innings, or the Cobras would have been the champions. But the mistakes, they were unfortunate for the Cobras, and the Beach Bums managed to take advantage of them. And while they did have some calls go their way, you know, in the bottom of the 6th, They managed to hold on and are champions for the third year in a row. And that's going to do it for this broadcast as well. Once again, congratulations to the South Florida Beach Bums on taking down the Fort Lauderdale Cobras and being crowned the Charles Johnson Summer League champions for the third year in a row. This broadcast is brought to you by Champions Charity Incorporated and Spank the Hog. Smoking Barbecue.